Today, I'm going to give you 3 everyday real situations where comparison creeps in, and I'm going to talk about how you can get out of the comparison trap and still move yourself forward. Because I don't think comparison is necessarily about wanting someone else's life, and it's more about wishing something was easier for us. How many times have you saw someone doing something and you thought, why is it so easy for them? It's so hard for me. They make it look so easy. We say it all the time, right? We see the person doing a sport and it looks easy, or them, the way someone talks or asks questions. Sometimes people make things look so easy when it's harder for us. Some of that just comes down to strengths and weaknesses. We all have our strengths, we all have our weaknesses. In my relationship, a lot of his strengths are my weaknesses and my strengths are his weaknesses. The struggle is how to work with each other to help. I want him to help me when I'm struggling with a weakness. But oftentimes we get embarrassed or we get upset about it. We feel shame when it's our weakness and we want to hide it. But when it's their strength, that's a way to flip it. How can I learn from them? It's their strength. But the thing with when it looks easy is we don't know if it really is for them. Sometimes what looks easy for that person is a struggle. They're fighting through it. They have fear. They're leaning into that fear. They're doing it anyways, even though they're scared inside. Maybe it is a struggle for them, but we only see on the outside. We have no idea what's going on the inside. We have no idea how much time they put into it, what kind of work they're doing behind the scenes. We don't see that. And that's a way to adjust your view and give yourself a little reality check of, I don't know what's gone into this to make that look easy. What's on the other side? And don't be afraid to ask. You may go up to them and say, man, you made that look really easy. And they might laugh and be like, oh, I was terrified. Or, well, thank you. I've been working on it for the last year. So in this situation, acknowledge what's going on. Give yourself the reality check of, we don't know what's on the other side. And then look at your own strengths. Look at what comes easy to you that may be hard for other people. Oftentimes we don't pay attention to that because it's easy for us, so we don't think anything of it. But, my boyfriend and I talk about this, and sometimes it's frustrating because something that comes really easy to him can be hard to understand why it's hard for someone else. But if you can twist it to see it from the other way, what's easy for you, what comes easy for you, what's natural for you that you've seen other people struggle at. And ask yourself, if that is something that you really want to improve on, ask yourself, what's something you can do right now? What's one step you can take to improve on it? It's really about habits. And do something. What can I do for 5 minutes every day that will help me improve that? This next one is similar. Those feelings when you just feel behind. Everyone else has got it figured out. They're all way ahead of you. You're never going to catch up. Do you know how many times I've thought of doing something? I maybe even have written it down and started it. And then for whatever reason, I get sidetracked or I let it go. And then a year later, I think about it again, or I see something about it. I'm like, oh, if only I would have started, if I would have kept with it, look how far I'd be on it. Doing this podcast is one of those things. I've been thinking about doing this podcast for years. And I let fear get in the way. And now I'm always like, God, think of where I could be if I would have started it when I originally thought of it. There's so many things like that. For a while, I really beat myself up over it. And then I got to, well, why even start now? I'm too far behind. But I kept wanting to do it. And so finally, it's just like, just do it. Wherever you're at, do it. And this is where comparison creeps in, because we're comparing where we're at on our journey to somebody else's life, where they're at. And our lives are completely different. You're on your timeline. I'm on my timeline. And so we can't compare. When we compare ourselves to someone else's stopwatch, we'll lose track of ourselves every time, because it's not our road. Our road isn't their road. Their road isn't ours. So we just got to walk our pace. And so when you think of, oh, I'm behind, just start. Wherever you're at, start. You'll be further. Tomorrow you'll be further than you are today. And you keep doing it, and it's crazy how the momentum goes. Staying focused on your lane, on your path, your life. Get motivation from other people. Learn from them. Switch your mindset to, what can I learn from them? Because they've already been there. And so asking yourself, what can I learn from their mistakes? What don't I want to do? What do I want to make sure that I do? Instead of just saying, oh, I'm not as far along as they are, or I'm late. Okay, well, they're ahead of me, so I'm going to learn from what they did. And then, again, what's one thing I can do right now to start? Sometimes we get so embarrassed and scared to ask, but there's nothing wrong with asking. Hey, you've already done this. What suggestions? What do you have? What do you recommend, or what do you suggest I don't do? What do you suggest I do? Like, how can you help me? Ask them the questions, because that's actually going to help you speed up, because you're not going to go through the same mistakes they did. But if you want to do something, start today. Don't wait another day. What's one thing you can do today to get this in motion, to start? And that brings it back to your life. So we're not comparing to someone else's life. Because you're not late. You're right where you're supposed to be. A lot of times what I'm finding is when we try to rush things, we're not ready for it. And life happens the way it's going to happen. You'll be ready, and you'll do it when you're ready to do it on your timeline. Your timeline isn't theirs. Their timeline isn't yours. And then the third situation where confidence creeps in is when, for me, it was always, they look really confident and I'm not. Or, I love the way they talk. I don't talk like that. Or, they're really outgoing. I'm not. It's something that we admire, a quality about somebody that we admire that we don't feel we have, that we wish we had. It usually comes down to our insecurities. I was always insecure about my voice, and so I would always admire other people's voice, the way they talked, the way they communicated. I admire how the confidence in other people. I never thought I was confident. I admire how people can be calm and direct and confident. I admire those traits, those qualities in people, and I could really get to comparing myself on that. But when we do that, we don't see their own insecurities. We don't see the fear that might be behind them being direct or them being confident or outgoing. And we don't see the failure that they've done. Like, I will tell you, I'm actively working on being direct, and I'm actively working on being confident and more outgoing. And it's scary. It's scary and it's hard. but I'm practicing and I'm leaning into that fear. But on the outside, people don't see that. In fact, it was probably a year ago or so, I was talking to somebody about working on my confidence. And they were like, "What are you talking about? You're super confident." And it took me back a little bit because I didn't, at that time, I was working on it. It was scary to put myself out there and work on the feeling of being confident. And they didn't see any of that. They didn't see the insecurity that I had on the inside. We don't get to see what's going on behind the scenes. Giving yourself a little reality check there of, do I know what's really going on here? And so something I do with this one, especially this situation, is when I see somebody that has a quality that I admire, I look at it as admiration. There's a moment that you see something that you admire about somebody, and it's the moment before you bring yourself into it and start comparing you to that. That moment of admiration is the moment you want to catch, because that moment is when you can say, I admire that about them. How'd they do that? How'd they get there? How can I get there? But what happens is when we bring ourselves into it and start comparing, it's they have that, I don't. And so it's always a lack of is where we bring ourselves, and then we turn on ourselves and beat ourselves up because we lack it. But if we can admire it and be curious about it, bring in that curiosity. How can I be more like that? If I want that quality, if I want to be more confident, what can I do right now? What can I do daily? How can I work on that to get there? Because it's not wrong to compare. Comparison can motivate us, it can inspire us, but it's how we use it. If we use it for motivation and inspiration and learning, win. Because it's going to push us forward, and we're going to get further faster if we learn from other people's mistakes. But what often happens with comparison is we turn against ourselves and we get shame, we have shame and embarrassment, and it doesn't move us forward because we feel stuck and we feel, what's the point? And we don't learn anything from it. But it's bringing in that curiosity, because when we turn on ourselves, we're not going to do anything about it. Oftentimes we don't change because we just get mad at ourselves and feel shame. But if we can see it from a different angle of, okay, what are my strengths? How can I work on this? I like that quality. Where do I show that quality in other aspects of my life? Sometimes it's hard, but what I'm really working on when I see calm, confident directness is asking myself, where do I show that? Where am I calm, confident, and direct? In what situations? Because then I can actually see it in myself. I do have it. We all have these things that we admire. It just might not be in that situation. And so when we can see it in another situation, you gain that confidence in yourself, you gain that trust in yourself, and you're like, oh, I do have it in me. I just have to work on it in other situations. And that's key. And so those are the 3 situations, and in each of them, how you can move yourself out of the comparison trap and move yourself forward and learn from them. Comparison hides the full picture. It zooms in on ease and outcomes and confidence, but it hides the effort, the fear, the insecurities, the practice. If we can remember that and remind ourselves that we don't know what's behind the scene, we don't know what went into getting that for that person. And then asking ourselves, what's one thing that I can start doing to get closer to that? So if you're going to compare, use it and try to switch some of these thoughts around in these situations and use it to your advantage. Use it to help you move forward. Use it to get what you want out of life. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. And until next week, keep looking forward and use comparison to your advantage.